Mayday, Mayday. It's gonna be May. This is algorithm check, Phil. Have you come across any Justin Timberlake? It's gonna be May posts today.
Thankfully, no. I think Elon has destroyed the algorithm so much. Even the annoying, lighthearted stuff doesn't seem. It's just engagement bait. So I really have avoided X as much as I can.
My entire Instagram timeline was that today, so I think I need to
really.
I
haven't been on Instagram today. Maybe that's why.
I think I need a little bit of melanin in my algorithm, just a little bit, because I was like, it's chuckle worthy, but it's it's like every year. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be May. For the very confused people, it's gonna be me in sync song with then it sounds like May. Then the same thing's going to happen. Today is the 1st of May when we're recording. This episode will come out on the 2nd, I guess. 4 days from now, Philip. I just know my entire timeline. It's just going to be May the 4th be with you.
And people need to learn. It's actually not May 4th. It's marketing day. The actual release day of Star Wars is May 24th.
Yeah, but that's not the reason why May 4th is Star Wars Day.
Because it's a pun on May the 4th be with you.
Yes. It's just an unofficial. It's not a real thing. It's just a not real. It's amazing how the internet is not real is now kind of real. Well, anyway, speaking of crazy internet things, I put it in our introduction. I wanted to discuss it first. It's there in our talking points if you'd like to take a look, Phil.
What are talking points? What are these things that you speak of?
A certain Twitter user put up a poll on his page, which it tore the internet apart, Phil.
Okay, let's see. Where are we here? We're the setup, the red button or blue button. The trolley problem.
Did you see it?
We have such different algorithms.
No, this is transcended algorithms. This has been everywhere.
I did not see this. Okay, but let me read. On 24 April, writer Tim Urban, I'm assuming his handle is Wait But Why, posted a poll that has since been pulled with over 22.5 million views. The question: every person on Earth presses one of two buttons in private. If more than 50% press blue, everyone lives. If less than 50% press blue, only people who pressed red survive. Which button do you press? Urban's poll closed with 57.9% picking blue, 42% picking red. Mr. Beast then ran his own version, blue on there too, and the debate has been the dominant non-news stories in the past week. So, wow. Twitter users discover game theory.
It's literally game theory / the trolley problem / the prisoner dilemma, all of that, right? Mm-hmm. So, just to this is one of those things which you kind of need to read a couple of times, right? To really get it. Maybe. 2 buttons, red and blue. If you press the blue button, if more than 50% of people press the blue button, everyone survives.
Yep.
However, if less than 50% of people press the blue button, only those who pressed red survive. What this translates into, everyone who presses red survives, period. But if you press red, it means you are increasing the chance of those who pressed blue dying. So this has obviously led to a debate. To some people, it seems like the most stupid thing ever. It's so simple and straightforward. If you press red, you survive. Just press red. And for other people, they're like, no, but I'm not just worried about my own survival. If I press red, that completely puts at risk those who might have pressed blue for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't fully understand the question, or maybe they, just went ahead and pressed blue because they thought everyone else would press blue, or whatever the reason is. Or maybe it's just some dumb idiot who pressed blue. This is a very hypothetical situation. But literally, across the two, Mr. Beast and Tim Urban, who initially posted it, across those two people who posted a version of this, it's gotten like over 100 million views. So that's why I'm saying this is transcended algorithms. So to me, you see, game theory is all fair and fine if we're discussing how to close a business deal, how to buy a company, how to make money. If it's about people's lives, though, like, come on, dog. Anyway, so I just want to hear your take on it.
I think you tackled it well. So if what muddies the waters here is you're dealing with humans, and humans often operate from an emotional standpoint. As you just said, the logical thing here, if you're thinking logically without emotion, is wait a minute. There's no downside, technically, if we all place red. But the thing with pressing red is it doesn't come with that emotional boost, that dopamine hit of, I'm a good person. I did this for the good of humanity. But if we're all being logical and calculated, everyone presses red, we all survive. No problem. The people that press blue, though well-intentioned, are bad at maths.
So I
And that's the
disagree.
problem.
You see, you're working from the logical step is to press red. It's only the logical step if your primary motivation is survival. If the most important thing to me is my own survival, then of course the most logical step
Yes.
is to
And
press red.
we're saying the same thing but differently then. That's exactly what I'm saying too. What I'm saying is exactly the same thing you're saying. Is now, if I'm trying to preserve the lives of others, obviously the caveat in game theory and all these things is you never know what the other person is thinking.
Mhm.
So the best thing you can do is then use either deduction or some sort of moral principle, some sort of true north that you have to be like, okay, this is what I'm deciding to do. I can live with that decision, or in this case, die hypothetically with that decision, whatever that may be. And that is the problem. Because not only it's like Family Feud. Not only do you have to think for yourself, the best decision for yourself, but you also have to predict what everyone else is thinking in your best interest.
Before even going far, my initial thought is just press blue.
Exactly.
Because
That's mine too.
Because the goal for me, the goal is everyone must survive. And
there'll always be someone whose goal is like, I don't ever want to survive.
Which is fair and fine, but that's not me, right? So a lot of people argue, well, if everyone just presses red, no one has to die, period. But the same is true of if you press blue. The only difference is who you're putting at risk. There's one tweet I saved on this whole debate, which I thought sort of underlines what I'm trying to put together. There's no such thing as everyone will just. Truth of the matter is everyone will not just. By that, they mean if your solution to a problem is if everyone just does such and such, that's never going to happen. There's no world in which everyone just does something. Everyone is not going to just. So if we're talking about billions of people, again, this is a hypothetical and it's silly, but it's an interesting thought experiment. If it's guaranteed that out of billions of people, a huge chunk are going to press blue for whatever reason. If that huge chunk of people happens to be below 50%, they're all dead. So we could either add our contribution to trying to get it above 50% or just save ourselves. But when you add your contribution, you're putting yourself at risk. And people's like interpretations of it, it's like people get so like this is so obvious and so simple. Just do this. But I think it's not that simple because people see the world different. It's the same as the trolley problem. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's the same as if you're unfamiliar with the trolley problem. If there's a trolley coming down a track, if it goes straight ahead and it's going to kill 5 people. But if you standing next to the track can divert it, it will only kill 1 person. What do you do? For some people, they'll say obviously divert it because killing 1 person is better than killing 5 people. But for other people, they're like, hey, if I leave it, I'm not involved. But if I divert it, I killed 1 person.
What if the 1 person? Okay, here's a conundrum. Here's a conundrum for you. Here's one. You've got 4 people. You got four church women. You got 4 church women, and the 5th one is a very rotund solar energy entrepreneur with a lot of cars. And on the other side,
okay, I got a
the
better
one
for you.
person. The one person is a high school friend. What are you doing?
I got a better one for you, right?
Uh-huh.
There's if you do nothing, right? If you do nothing, it's going to hit the same 4 church woman and a certain leader of a chosen race. And then the other side, it's your family member.
I mean, this is a layup, Dan. What you talking about? I'm saving the world here. What are you talking about? I'm literally saving the world. They will write songs about me. They will name awards after me.
But
what are you talking about?
But you killed 4 people. Well, 5 plus that person.
Yeah, and that and the other dude. Yes, it's called collateral damage, Dan.
Anyway, this is not, guys, it's not that deep. It's just a conversation. The truth of the matter is, I don't think there's a correct answer. People will see the world differently, and it is what it is. But I'm not going to lie. I'm judging you a little bit if you chose red. You chose yourself first over other people. But then a lot of people also say the only reason blue keeps winning in the polls is because there's no actual stakes. So everyone is virtue signaling. If there's actual stakes, people will always choose their own lives. So you're going to end up with under 50% on blue. And if you chose blue, goodbye.
That's the thing. Hopefully, we'll never have to investigate this any further.
So, can I tell you a real world situation where this trolley problem is working? I read an article a while back which was discussing one of the big issues about the ethics of self-driving. You have to program this machine as to what to do in certain situations or certain scenarios. You don't program a human being. A human being will do whatever they do in that situation. But for a machine, if let's say the Tesla you bought before you knew what Elon was like, let's say you bought that Tesla and it is now in a life or death situation, this computer on this self-driving car has to make a decision. Do I swerve and smash this car into the tree or go straight ahead and kill the school children crossing the road? Those are the 2 options that the car has to make, the 2 decisions. Now, if I paid money for this and I know that it's programmed to kill me instead of pedestrians, that's a little bit difficult. But at the same time, that's obviously not the right thing to do. It's like so I read that there was a lot of debate that was happening in terms of programming this kind of situation. I don't know if it's still the case, but that was something that was a thing a couple of years ago. Real world scenario of the trolley problem. Will you buy a car that you know is programmed to kill you instead of pedestrians? Probably not. But at the same time, you can't. Surely that's such a bad move for it to be. It's difficult, guys. It's difficult. Anyway, press blue. Be a normal person. Hey. Let's start the show, Phil.
Good to go.
Finally.
Good to go. Sound a big thing, them.
I like this little pocket of bringing little social media things to the podcast. You know what I mean? I like that. I think we should do more of that.
Let
me hear a drum play.
Welcome one more again to another episode of your favorite podcast. This is Two Broke Twimbos. My name is Danny That Guy, aka Danos the Mad Titan, aka Denford Wikumaraini, aka Denimbi, my life, your entertainment, aka I'm done with these streets. Happy May Day to one and all. It's gonna be May, aka Akuna Moment Danmu.
That's right. It's an unmistakable, irrefutable, unquestionable, undeniable flow chart. I get floss, big boss, get beats up, sex and love, filthy filth, aka DJ Mkaradi. And of course, Shamari Ditengero or Raptizi. Now, funny thing, Dan, I bumped into someone that we know. I hadn't seen them in a while. And we're just making sure we settle each other's numbers. So I was like, oh, got your number. I was like, oh, still got your number saved. Here we go. I'm beeping you. Make sure you got my number. I'm like, oh, I still have your name saved as a Phil Chard. I was like, yes, that's my name. They're like, wait, what? This is someone I've known for years. It's amazing how many people I come across that don't realize my name is my name.
What do they think? It's like that's your stage name.
Yeah, they think that's a nickname actually. And I'm like, okay, do you think I like fish that much? Like, explain.
I bet you hate that comparison, huh?
I got over it. After Kimball really worked to the ground. Because he was the worst.
If you want to hear that, scroll up.
No, it was mostly on radio. Like, yes, on the episode is when it was a thing, but there were times like when I used to go on radio, when I was promoting various projects, and every time it would be Kimberly, like, ah ha ha ha, you like fish. And after the fourth time, I was like, okay, Kimberly, I get it.
Sorry, man. Okay. Pardon me, we are multitasking, so I am trying to get bites of this meal in between the
I'm
podcasts.
also eating, but I prepared. See what I did there? I reduced my meal to the good form.
You pre-chewed it. I like it. Okay. All right, blue button presses. Let's start off by celebrating Zimbabweans doing big things. I think I need to cut the microphone for this one because this is a biggie. Last week we were not around, of course. I was, my apologies. I was at ZITF. I shall bring back some reports from ZITF, but we did have a brief Patreon. It wasn't even brief. It was long. We may as well have recorded a podcast.
I recorded part of it, but I'm not releasing it. I think I'll release for the Patreon.
Yeah. No. It's just for.
Then I had to rush out at a small emergency. So shout out to Dan because I was going to cut it short. We had already been talking for like an hour, and I was going to cut it off. And then Dan joined. I was like, I've got some cover. And then in my transit, the connection wasn't great, so I missed a bit. But it was fun. It was a fun chat.
I happened to be on FaceTime with my wife, and then there was a brief break as she needed to
a brief respite.
Yeah, she needed to use the bathroom. So I was like, oh, let me just check out how it's going with this Two Broke Twimbos call. Then Phil was like, yeah, I gotta go. And I was like, okay.
I also think I gotta go. I said, like, just hold it down. Like, you could have ended it. Like, we'd been going for an hour.
Yeah, but I don't want to end it when people are having like it was.
You don't also have to end it. Like, you can literally just say, hey guys, we've got to go. Feel free. Like, it's a community. They can handle themselves.
but like I literally I said it in the call that I guess it'll be a bit weird to not because we're hosting this, So it's cool. It's okay. We spoke. It was fine. Plus the conversation was like. It was like at a very good level. But one of the things that was brought up is the Zimbabwean doing it big that I want to mention. Mm-hmm. Luke Tawanda Philemon Hamba. Luke Tawanda Philemon Hamba. So I want to tell you what happened to me. So a couple of people were posting it on their Instagram stories. And as I was absentmindedly scrolling through Instagram, people just kept on putting up the name Luke Tawanda. So I asked a couple of people, like, what is this? And they just sent back laughing emojis and said, check TikTok. And that annoyed me a little bit because what is this everyone is talking about? Then I went on TikTok and I searched. I could see the name, but I couldn't quite see where it was coming from. And then I saw some people talking about the person. I just didn't know what the story was. And I was like, you know what? I'm a journalist. I can figure this out. So I sat down and I found the source. And then I watched from the very first video to ever mention his name. Mm-hmm. Started off sounding like Luke Tawanda, Phil Manamba.
Yeah. She butchered that. I also don't understand. How would you claim to have kids by this man and you butcher his name like that?
Then that's fully understandable, Phil. Then, I followed the whole. So apparently this lady on TikTok, she has 2 kids by a Zimbabwean man. She didn't even know he was Zimbabwean. It was a comment section that told her, no, if his name is Luke Tawanda Philemon Humba, when people then discovered you're pronouncing his name wrong, that's definitely a Zimbabwean. Then she's like, oh, damn, I guess he's Zimbabwean. I mean, I ain't even know. I can't find him. Been trying to reach out to him. She started posting videos almost every day about him. There's something about the way that she speaks that even though I think someone who doesn't take care of their kids is scum of the earth, but I felt a twinge of pity for him.
I get it. You don't condone it, but you understand.
Yeah, it's like
you don't condone being a deadbeat, but you understand going to the shops and never coming back because hey.
I know that sounds bad. Guys, I'm saying it's wrong and we should shame deadbeat fathers. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't understand why it may have happened. These are all jokes, by the way, guys. So yeah, anyway, so that was a very, so this lady has been posting videos and the way she speaks is actually it's kind of funny, but I can also see why. There's several questions I had. Because one of the things is she makes it very clear that she is fully over on the side of the L in Ligabitiga. And I didn't want to be problematic, but I asked in our discussion in the chat, I said, I can understand a mistake happening, or I can understand taking time to figure yourself out and so on. It's just, she's got 2 kids by this guy, you know.
But okay, I see where you're coming from. I think it's a little problematic, but I also have questions, but from a slightly different angle. I can understand someone not being attracted to men, but wanting to have children. That I get.
Yes.
I can understand someone agreeing to some form of a co-parenting arrangement of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I can get that. I get that. I understand that. But from the videos I saw, it looked like you're looking for long lost love. And that's why I have questions. Because when you guys entered this co-parenting arrangement and you knew he wasn't getting none because you're on the other team, were you not financially prepared to raise these children on your own? Because it looked like you just needed a donor.
So no, I can see the confusion here. Give me 1 sec.
Chimedza over here.
Okay, so in the story she told about Luke Tawanda, Philemon Humba, they were actual lovers. She was not looking for a donor. This wasn't a co-parenting arrangement. They were in a full-on love each other relationship. Mm-hmm. She speaks at length about the promises made, even back then she could already see the red flags, etc., etc. So that's why I'm putting out that. Everything you said I can also fully understand. But you know what, something, Phil? I've also learned that, and I'm beginning to accept this more and more, I don't have to understand everything. I just have to accept that other things exist. So me saying I don't understand doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. I'm just explaining to you that there's a sequence of events here that doesn't make sense in my head, but that's okay because that's my head and it's not your head. But I don't get it. I don't understand. Don't understand. Anyway, that's how Zimbabwean doing it big this week. Trending. But my streets. It made it to American TikTok and it was now everywhere. American SA TikTok, everybody was looking for Luke Tawanda film number. Yeah, but I mean, time has moved. If we had recorded last week, it would have been a hot topic for discussion.
Indeed.
What you want to talk about, Phil? Did you see the emblazoned across the front page of the H Metro that everyone who makes money online has up till the end of June, I believe? Was the end of May? Up till the end of May to declare their assets to Zimra.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you make money online through social media or Patreon or anything or crypto trading. I just thought to bring that up here.
Good thing we don't make money on Patreon. And we've got proof. Go to the page. It doesn't exist. We don't have a cent. I have nothing.
You see how God works, Phil. You see how God works.
Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it?
This is the worst thing. Hey, our Patreon has been shut down. What's going on? But look, we are scot-free. We are not earning any money online. We are safe.
No, the problem was people were starting to talk too much. There were too many of these conferences. Mm-hmm. And the wild thing is, in retrospect, I actually have to some of our creators are very bright. Now that I think about it, it's actually wild. Let me paint the picture for our listeners so you guys understand what's going on. There have been various conferences, various events where some social media elites will be invited. I'm not going to mention names because it'll seem like we're hating. And along with them on these panels or as guests and in attendance will be the literal minister of ICT.
And I mean, it was both genders, sirs and madams, you know?
Yes.
And it was employees and bosses. They were all
exactly
in the
they
same.
were all there.
Yeah.
But once again, you have literal ministers, literal members of cabinet, literal people who decide policy or are close to the people that decide policy. And you're sitting right next to them and you're saying, yo, I've grown my audience. I'm making 20,000 a month. And then you're like, but the problem is because Zimbabwe is not monetized, I've got to create an account in the UK and then I get the money routed from the UK through into Zimbabwe. And now you've literally admitted to a government official to their face that you are earning revenue, substantial revenue, by the way.
Outside the system.
Outside the system that is untaxed and unbanked. What did you expect them to do?
To make it worse, right? Whether you look at terms of service, right? Just from the viewpoint of the platforms, that's not allowed, right? You don't register your account. You can't live in Zimbabwe and register your account in the UK, even though a lot of people do that.
That's a circumvention. Yep, you can't do that.
From the laws of the land about tax and revenue, you can't do that. You can't earn money in Zimbabwe and bank it outside of the country.
And on the flip side, you're very lucky because His Royal Majesty's Tax Collection Service has not given you a excuse me, Governor. We've noticed a few pounds in your account there. Care to share where you got them from?
No, but there will be already automatically applied taxes. Maybe not income tax necessarily, but
they'll not be business because you are essentially earning as an independent business, which you're not doing, and also it's illegal because you're not domiciled in that country. So now they'll ask you, wait a minute, how is this account operational? So this is a personal account, but it's earning business revenue. Like you're breaking laws in two countries.
Look, all around it just wasn't a wise idea to put this information out. But in the defense of the unnamed creator that you mentioned and others who have said similar things, Zimra had been hinting for a while. They had been hinting for a while. Although even back in 2024, they had already started talking about their social media revenue that we need to take a look at and audit. The one that got... So, okay. People hate tax. I especially in a country like Zim, where there's going to be all kinds of conversations about corruption and whatever. I completely get it. People hate the idea of tax. But the truth of the matter is, in every country, there's some level of tax, right? So if you have an issue with the overall tax, I think there has to be discussions about what the taxation rate should be, what should be eligible for tax, and so on. But the fact that Zimra is collecting tax isn't necessarily the problem. But what I do find to be the problem is what looks like not fully thought out policy. So, okay, let's say I had to open an account in South Africa, and on that account, that social media account, which is open in South Africa, there's money coming in, right? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, I did it legally. I registered a business in South Africa. I pay corporate taxes out in South Africa. I pay my income taxes and all the taxes, the VAT, blah, 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 everything in South Africa. And I have my account registered to that bank account, my social media account. Now I'm creating content, and that content is monetized. So I'm earning money from AdSense. I'm earning money from Facebook, X's monetization, all of that. And it's being sent to my account. So I'm compliant with all rules and laws. Now, let's say I did open that account. Let's just say, just for argument's sake, I was actually in South Africa when I opened that account. So it was registered as a South African account, which perfectly legal. I have a business in South Africa, so I continue to have some entity that operates in South Africa. So let's just say all of that is true. Then I come to Zimbabwe, right? And I now live here full-time in Zimbabwe. My earnings are coming through my South African entity, which is fully legally registered in South Africa, but I live in Zimbabwe. So the Zim government says, okay, You are living here, which means you are, I forgot what they call it, tax domiciled or whatever it is.
Yeah,
in Zimbabwe.
domicile, yes.
So you are required to pay tax. But there's not a single, like the money that I'm earning is not from Zimbabweans. I'm earning it from Google.
I feel like I see where you're going, but you
Meta.
bring up a hypothetical that has already been solved for. Then, like businesses do this already.
Mhm.
If you've got a registered business in South Africa and you're paying your taxes in South Africa, all you literally do is produce a South African tax return and say, "Guys, I've already paid taxes on this. I'm legitimately registered in South Africa. I'm earning revenue in South Africa. I'm paying my taxes in South Africa. I'm in here as a resident. I'm not a business." There are many Zimbabweans
Mhm.
who have returned home who still have businesses outside the country.
Mhm.
They have no. You're an individual, you're not a business entity. The moment as a business now, you start earning revenue in Zimbabwe, that is now taxable revenue. That's where the difference is.
Yes. So, but okay. I guess the point that I'm getting, you're right there, and completely agree with that. But the point that I'm trying to make is, the reasoning is you are earning money from activities in Zimbabwe.
Okay, what are the business activities?
That's what I'm asking. What are the business activities? So even if I've given this, I've gone out of my way to create this very everything is in order, everything is above book situation. What's different in terms of actual activities of that person who's registered their account in whatever country, and me who hasn't registered any account in South Africa? I'm not paying any. I'm not. I'm not earning from Zim. The person who needs taxes from me is South Africa, not Zimbabwe.
But this problem has been solved already because this already exists. So, for example, if you're a content creator, let's say you're a filmmaker, right? The taxes you'd be paying would be to contractors or equipment hire. That's already factored into VAT. That's already factored into how you're paying your contractors. If your contractors are taxed registered, which they should be, then they're paying taxes for the revenue that they generated from your work. If now your production becomes so large that you actually need to funnel significant amount of money from South Africa into Zimbabwe, legally, you would then have to register a Zimbabwean entity so that you could transfer those funds and pay out legally.
Okay, let's say hypothetically there's a social media influencer named Mistress Manager. Mistress Manager lives in Zimbabwe, right? Mm-hmm. Mistress Manager uses a VPN to open her Facebook account in South Africa.
Already. By stage 1, you've already proved they violated terms of service.
I violated terms of service, but I haven't broken any laws. My beef is with Facebook. It's not with you. But okay.
It's about to be illegal. Okay.
So now here I am, Mistress Manager, amassing an amazing amount of followers on my South African Facebook account by doing skits. Maybe I'm doing skits of being a female garden boy. So then I am now receiving money, direct payouts from Meta. I had to open an account. Let's say I use Wise in South Africa, and I'm receiving my payouts in South Africa, and then I then do transfers to my Zimbabwean account. Mm-hmm. So that revenue I'm earning, right? I am living in Zimbabwe, but the revenue I'm earning is not from anyone in Zimbabwe. I'm earning that revenue outside of Zim. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem fair to me that there's an expected tax on that revenue.
But they won't be.
But that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Come and declare all revenues earned.
They are saying this, but this can legally, this can easily be challenged. Easily.
Someone must challenge it then, because they're out here. Dude, that notice said.
But to challenge it, people would have to Budapachena, and they're not going to Budapachena. That's the problem.
Zimbabwean residents working for foreign companies. That company has to pay taxes to Zimbabwe to hire someone.
But they're not working for a foreign entity.
I'm just giving an example.
Yeah. What they're actually going for are the remote workers. The people that were working remotely are the ones who are uptight.
Yes. So 100%. I think that's the biggest, all the people working for BPO companies and...
yeah, those are the ones who are uptight. And I would also be very, 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 very annoyed by that. Because, guys, banking charges in Zim are wild. You know, the other day, I got a text from. I'll mention them because they're not a sponsor. It actually pissed me off. I got a text from FBC. Hey, one of your accounts is about to go dormant. Do you mind putting a deposit, a personal account? I was like, okay, cool. So I went there. I put in a young 40. Then I was like, okay, for the Zig, how much? They were like, you can put like 10, 20 bucks, whatever. I was like, cool. Let me just convert this. So I put 40 bucks in. So I deposited the money so I can keep my account active, knowing that, okay, every month they're going to take their $4 or whatever in banking fees. This is going to last me until the end of the year. Before I even left the village, I got hit with $40 has been withdrawn from your account, IMTT fees. I was like, wait, what? I don't even use this account. This is my backup account. What are you talking about? Yeah, remember how we had that argument about digital services tax only being, and you were like, no, they'll figure it out, blah, 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 blah. Other day I was at a restaurant. I was at a restaurant having coffee at lunch, nice meeting. Bill comes. I'm like, no, cool. I got you guys. Pull up my card, swipe, bam. But I can do maths. And they send you a text, right? With like how much was in your account, how much is in your account. I'm like, wait a minute. This is not what I swiped. So I wait a day, check my statement. I got charged digital services tax for local transaction on a POS machine. Then I'm looking at my statement. Every time they send me a text telling me that I've received money or they've removed money, they charge me 25 cents. And I thought they removed that fee. They're still charging it.
I did a piece on bank charges. It's wild.
No, those guys need to be reined. So my annoyance, actually, my real frustration, and I think it's everyone's frustration, is why are you going out against the little guy? Why are you allowing these banks to run roughshod over us? These dudes are literally milking us dry. How do you charge? Every time money is put in my account, you're charging me. Every time I take money from my account, you're charging me. Every time I swipe, you are charging me. No, not only are you charging me. So I get charged 4 different ways. Huh?
Every time you check balance, at least that one is at least being legislated away. But I was hearing some people saying it's still there.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, even on EcoCash. You remember every time you check your EcoCash balance, they charge you.
Just think about how wild that is. Hey, come over here. Let us keep your money for you. No, thanks. It's okay. I'll keep it myself. No, let's keep it here. The law then says, no, sorry, you have to let them keep your money for you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, how much money I got? Pay me first. What? It's my money, bro. You're.
Meanwhile, we don't earn interest on this money. You know what I mean? No matter what the government says the interest rate is, we don't know. Because our money's not earning interest. It's not accruing any value.
Interest? What? I tried to explain to Taz banking in Zim and she almost had an aneurysm. It's like, what do you mean? Because I was trying to explain, no, it's better to swipe rather than to, it's better to swipe rather than to do a Visa payment because then you get Visa charges. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, no, there are charges every time you do a transaction. It's like, why would you get charged?
I remember there's someone who had moved back and they used to have this thing of money would get put in their account and they just go around swiping. And one day I was like, yo, why do you always swipe? And I'm like, well, what else am I supposed to do? I'm like, when your money comes in, you figure out how much you need for the month, you withdraw it as cash, and you keep your cash. It's like, no, but I'm sorry. I was like, okay, next time you get your statement, look at your fees. I'm like, wait, what? I've been getting charged $80 a month. I was like, what did you think they were doing?
It's actually wild. It's wild. But anyway, so it's quite funny that Zimra has put out this information. What they say, this voluntary disclosure is if you go and disclose what you made in 2025, they will waive any penalties. But the one that I found the most interesting is they spoke about crypto. I put out a video about it just today. Crypto trading is included. If you've made any money through crypto trading, you have to go and disclose the revenues earned. Now, sharp-eared listeners will know that back in 2018, the RBZ put out a statement essentially banning crypto in Zimbabwe. No financial institution is allowed to transfer, change, liquidate, anything with crypto assets. Last year, 2025, there was an update in which the Reserve Bank recognized the existence of virtual currencies. That's what it says. There's no official structures yet. It's still not. There's no laws about how to calculate it. Nothing like that. It's just certain phrases were introduced as recognized. So, crypto is not legal tender in Zimbabwe. In fact, it's not. You can't. Only last year was it recognized. End of last year, it was recognized as something that exists. You cannot. You can't. There's nothing you can do with it. But you're expected to disclose how much you made and then pay. That's just insane to me. You're joking. You're joking. You're absolutely joking. So, I don't know. Good luck to everyone involved. As for me, I don't even have money to disclose anyway, so I'm safe. One of the advantages of being broke. I don't know what the minimum threshold is, but I'm fairly comfortable I'm below it. So okay. Aish, the next story that we have here is a bit of a serious one, but there's been a huge flare-up of xenophobia, which has been bubbling under for a while now, but this past couple of weeks has been extra virulent in South Africa. There's a group called March and March, which has been organizing hundreds of people, and I don't know if I can believe the videos I'm seeing, but some of them look like even more. And they are marching through city centers and violently attacking foreigners, closing shops, and even threatening business owners that if you hire anyone who's a foreigner, we're coming for you. There were unconfirmed reports of deaths as well. But I think there were 2 Nigerians that were in the news, but then unconfirmed reports of others as well, possibly. So yeah, so this is it's like a rough thing to see. Mm-hmm. There was one video I saw where these March and March guys had gathered up a bunch of business owners to communicate to them their demands. Their demands were you hire South Africans, you fire anyone who's not South African. The business owners that they gathered were white, Pakistani, colored, Indian, etc. And I was like, you don't even have the self-awareness to see that you are approaching foreigners who own businesses to warn them that they mustn't hire black foreigners. Like you don't see the irony there. I normally don't like that line of reasoning because it implies that no, the xenophobia should be targeted towards people of other races. No, I don't think there should be xenophobia in the first place. But it is ironic to see that. I don't know, man. We're not going to be able to change people's minds. I don't think it's safe right now, man.
I mean, I've obviously given this a lot of thought, considering both
Plans.
our plans for the future.
Yeah.
But it's also a difficult thing when you've got a population who've been lied to, who've been disenfranchised, who grew up in a very violent society, who have been deprived of opportunities, and especially doing this in the most documented, economically uneven country in the world. It's heartbreaking, you know? So I have a certain level of empathy for the common man who doesn't seem to know better, and it's hard for them to know better because they've been given such a bad education, and everywhere they turn, they're just told foreigners are taking this from you, foreigners are taking that from you. I can understand that. I empathize with that. The people I have a problem with are the grifters, the leaders of these movements who know better, who understand better, who are being used by whatever political powers that may be to further an agenda, distract the populace, create a boogeyman, and because if you've been following the blatant levels of corruption that have been exposed in the past year and a half in South Africa with these commissions, foreigners aren't the main problem. Foreigners aren't the reasons hospitals had 2 billion rand stolen from them. Foreigners aren't the reason trains aren't on tracks. Foreigners aren't the reason. I forget the name of the building that's supposed to have the housing projects. I forget the name of it, but they're not the reason those houses aren't being built, right? It's corruption, and it's corruption from the top. They're an easy target because on top of this, the same, not the same, but a different type of foreigner is actually causing real harm in South Africa. And I'm not saying undocumented workers or undocumented migrants aren't causing harm to South Africa. They are. They are strain on South Africa's economy. They are strain on their public services. They are strain on the people, especially if they are not paying taxes, if they're not paying their fair share. I totally understand and agree that. And if you're undocumented, it's very difficult for you to pay your taxes because outside of VAT, how are you contributing to the tax base, right? You may be helping with the economy, circulating funds in that sense, but at the end of the day, you are straining the tax to a certain, because you're using infrastructure, you're using the roads, you're using electricity, etc. I understand that part. But at the same time, Cape Town has now become damn near unlivable, especially for the middle class, because of undocumented foreigners. But they ain't black. They're pretty wealthy. They're middle income, sometimes upper middle income, sometimes even upper class. And they're pricing out the working class in Cape Town. And I'm not here to point fingers and say, yo, don't protest against these people, protest against these people. But it's a lot easier to attack someone who you perceive to be an illegal foreigner who just happens to be selling wares on the side of the street, even though they are South African, but they don't look South African, or they are Venda, and you don't consider Vendas to be real South Africans because they don't speak Zulu. And I'm basing all this on videos and stories that have come out in the past week. It is concerning, but at this point, I don't know what else we can do. And what really is frustrating me, sorry, I'll just finish this point, and then because I was trying to come to a logical conclusion, but I decided against saying what I wanted to say there. But what I will say, and what I can say, it's incredibly frustrating. And I think it's damn near condescending, and you frankly have shown a lack of empathy and lack of thought. If you're a Zimbabwean, just say, Zimbabweans, why do you go here and get treated like dirt? Just come on home. Come on home. Let's vote. Let's fix things the right way. Are you dumb? All I'll say is to you is 45-degree angle. If you know what that means, you know what that means.
I was actually going to ask you, is there even the slightest hint of empathy that you have or any understanding you have for these people with their xenophobic views? And I guess you answered that before I said it. And I was going to say something similar. I honestly think any community has a right to point out illegal immigration. In my opinion, I don't believe it warrants violence. I don't believe it warrants burning and killing and so on. However, I can understand, here's this community. We've built this community in this way. What is, if there's a legal route for other people from outside the community to join the community, or for people from your community to go out and join other communities, that's normal life, right? That's how you would expect any society to work. But if people come in illegally, I can understand the desire to, hey, we don't want you here. I get that. So I have some level of empathy for the discussion about our resources are being strained by illegal immigration. But I don't think that's what this is about. If it was about illegal immigration, then as long as you got your papers, we're all good. We have no issues with you being here. As long as you got your papers. If you don't have your papers, we're reporting you to the police. If that's what this march was about, I promise you, it'll be cool. All good. I mean, some people would be unhappy, of course, but I think most reasonable people would be like, yeah, look, if you're rounding up people who are there illegally, I get it. But the fact that you seem to be targeting all foreigners, period, that's now a big problem. Secondly, Have you ever been... Some years ago, I think we talked about it on this podcast. There were several celebrities that got in trouble over secretly voting against low-cost housing being developed close to where they live. Do you remember something like that? This was a US thing.
Vaguely.
Yeah, I can't remember the details of who was involved. But long story short, there was, I think the government, along with some donors and whatever, were putting together a project to build low-cost housing for, at-risk people from the hood. And it was going to be relatively close to an area that was, that was high-value homes, and a lot of celebrities lived there. And then there was an appeal, and these guys secretly signed that they didn't want this low-cost housing project to be built close to where they live. And it led to a lot of discussion, some of them memes and some of them serious discussions about, hey, I made it out the hood, right? I don't want to bring the hood back to me type of thing, which is a whole other discussion. But I think in general, when people travel from desperation, very often those are the poorer among us, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a certain extent, even desperate. And I'm sure it's, to some extent, crime can arise from that. But I think all the statistics that are out there show that there isn't significantly higher crime rates among immigrant populations than there are among, the local populations. But let's, again, speak hypothetically. Maybe there will be some crime. And again, I can understand not wanting that around. All of this, I've done my best to try and show a little bit of understanding as to why some people feel so strongly. But it boils down to what you said, which is a lot of this has been the flames have been fanned by grifters, by people who are really just trying to push an agenda for their own reasons. And they're outright lying. And you can tell because it's all about specific buzzwords and talking points that are just repeated over and over. Foreigners are selling drugs. Bro, I'm sure there are some criminals who happen to be foreigners who are selling drugs, just like there are also local people who are selling drugs. Those are the people that need to be arrested.
And I think you bring up a great point. Once again, we're preaching to the choir. Our listeners are mainly Zimbabwean.
Yeah.
I don't know how many South Africans listen to us. There might be one or two. So
I guess it's a good point to try and show that, okay, we're not just immediately dismissing it. We're trying to consider, okay, what could have caused this sort of feeling and so on. But yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I totally understand it. Like, if you spend any time in South Africa, I think it's very, if you have any level of
awareness,
compassion, care, like self-awareness, it's very difficult to not see why the situation is what it is. It's terrible. Like, I remember, like, the second stint where I lived in South Africa, I was in Bedford View. If you've ever been to Bedford View, it's, those houses are built like fortresses, literal fortresses, massive Jura walls, massive houses, massive gates. There's one house on the street where I used to go jogging that had an elevator in the garage. And I'm not exaggerating. I would see a Ferrari drive in, and then a platform would lower it to the actual garage below ground level. And the people that would go to work at that house would be coming from Alex, for example, which is next door to Sandton, or Marlborough, which isn't as bad, but still a high density suburb. And they are coming from literal poverty. Rats the size of dogs. They've been promised the world and they've got nothing.
Yeah.
And you're in an economy where guns have flooded the market, and they've been there since apartheid. You've got drugs, you've got all these things. It's literally a powder keg for what's happening now. So I totally understand it. I totally get it. And on top of that, the really tough thing is, and where I sympathize, and I'm also frustrated not only with South Africans but also with our government, is if South Africa was tougher on our government, this problem would also go away. The problem is South Africa keeps, like, at the top, at the higher echelons, excusing our government's behavior, which encourages this level of immigration, whether legal or illegal.
I don't know, Phil. You know, the problem with I mean, almost every air quotes first world country is crying about immigration.
No, okay, wait. I think you're dismissing the real point here. South Africa has never, except for the past elections, released a definitive statement disputing our elections, which they've been observers and witnesses to. They've never come out and castigated or called out or checked our leadership for their policy decisions that are affecting immigration. There's multiple examples of them placating our government.
That is somewhat par for the course for international diplomacy and international, or foreign policy for most countries. It's very rare. It's extremely rare for a country to publicly call out another country when the election is done. Sometimes they may raise issues, sure, but in general, it would be. And again, I don't. Okay, I guess my point is, while that is true, I don't think that's the cause. I don't think our salvation is South Africa having a conversation.
I'm not saying that's the cause of our salvation. What I am saying is there's a myriad of contributing factors that all play a part into this. And you'll notice, like, as it stands, outside of the very soft, please guys stop doing that speech that Ramaphosa gave this morning, there's really nothing done to stop these vigilantes. Because these are vigilantes. This is illegal. Like, according to the laws of South Africa, vigilantism is illegal.
I think that's, in my mind, this is the biggest thing that needs to be addressed right now. There needs to be a firm and public statement that, okay, on the one hand, we understand the gripes, right? But this is not allowed, and anyone caught doing this will be dealt with.
But they can't.
Again, yeah, because,
And also, right now, the only person politically who'd speak out against this sadly has a court case and an appeal he's fighting right now. So,
although he did speak about it. He did speak about it.
I mean, with any impotence, yeah, but yeah.
Anyway, it's a difficult situation for our Zimbabwean and Malawian and Nigerian and DRC and Ghanaian brothers and sisters in South Africa. For even closer to home, my wife does content, and she always starts her content with, I moved to Zim from South Africa. So people hear both those countries, and there's always at least 5, 6, if not more people in the comments who have some very xenophobic things to say in there. Or some people who are Zimbabweans who also feel hurt the same way,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a solid solution. But for me, a solid starting point is it has to be clearly communicated. Because I've tried my best to empathize as to why some people may feel a certain way. But ultimately, what are you doing? How are you attacking your just the same as you? It just so happens they come from a different country, but like some white man drew lines several hundred years ago, and now that's how you differentiate yourself and myself. Come on, man. The real issue here is the corruption. The real issue here is if there's someone who doesn't have their papers, okay, that can be dealt with. It should be dealt with. But what you're doing in terms of attacking people, no, absolutely not. That's completely inexcusable. So I wanted to say that as well, just so the attempt of mine to try and understand people's grievances is not confused for me condoning this in any way. The person who's leading this march whatever movement, what's her name? Jacinta, whatever her name is. Isn't she? She's a radio host, right? She's a radio host on Gagasi FM, I believe. Is she still allowed to host her show, or she's the founder of the movement?
Why would she be stopped?
That's crazy. Because she's literally spewing calls to violence. Yeah. I don't know, man. Hey, stay safe, y'all out there in South Africa. Ironically, I think if you are of somewhat of means, you will most probably not come across this. It's mostly targeted at the most desperate among society. I am very worried that it's going to get worse, and as more and more people are emboldened, and more people find community, and more people in a place that is that has access to weapons and gangs and so on, as South Africa does. I shudder to think what's going to happen, which I hope it doesn't. Anyway, moving on. Phil.
Anyway, so how's the move going?
There's no move yet, Phil. No move yet. Still in SA. I found this is a little hilarious story that happened. Did you see what happened with the South African Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, Solly Malatsi?
No, what's up?
Okay, so South Africa is also working on their national artificial intelligence policy. So they put out a draft that was approved by cabinet, and now it's been put out to the public for, what do they call it? There's a term for
comments.
Yeah, there's a term for putting it out to the public to also give their input before it's drafted into law. So the moment they put it out, people started saying, "Yo, what's happening here?" Turns out that quite a few sections of it was AI hallucinations. There was several references, articles, statements, and so on that were made that don't exist. It was purely hallucinated by AI, ChatGPT, or whatever. So once this started getting pointed out, it was in the news. The minister Solly Malatsi, he withdrew the statement, the draft policy, and then he put out on his Twitter page. He said, "Listen, our bad, sorry. It was a failure on our part." To his credit, he didn't deflect. He literally said, "Yeah, listen, our bad. That's on us, and we have to take it back to the drawing board to try and sort out those issues." But it was such a hilarious sort of. This is your national AI policy written by AI.
No, it's one thing to have the AI drafted. No one could proofread them all for maybe let's just read it first.
You're telling me you asked AI to be like, "Hey guys, can you just do a quick policy for us about that will regulate you? Thanks." Sure, no problem, boss. Yeah. Anyway, that having been said, guys, our own national AI policy, we discussed this in the group. The ChatGPT pros is quite apparent.
I mean, but what better way to show that you are all in on AI?
Those M dashes, this is not just a policy. This is a framework.
Yes. What do they call those adversarial statements?
They call them negative parallelisms, or at least Wikipedia calls them that.
Oh my God. I've now learned to recognize those two.
Well, hey, obviously these are tools to be used. It's just use the tool and then just change it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So that it looks like a human wrote it. The bare minimum. Okay, I put up a tweet, Phil. I just wanted to quickly mention it because I want to hear your opinion on it. Mm-hmm. I put up a tweet when I took an in-drive from the airport.
I saw that tweet and I saw the back and forth you're having. It was quite entertaining.
Yeah. So the premise of the tweet is I took a screenshot of InDrive. InDrive is, if you don't live in Zimbabwe, it also exists in other countries, but it's the primary ride-hailing app in Zim. So I posted a screenshot of the recommended fare from airport to town, which is roughly 15 plus kilometers, and the recommended fare was $5.50. So I said in my tweet that I'm not sure about the model InDrive is currently using. I don't think this is sustainable. And that took fire, right? And several people agreed and several people disagreed, which is expected. Many people feel that, no, that seems fair, because if you calculate, a fuel saver car goes about 15 to 20 kilometers per liter. So trip to the airport is roughly 1 liter. A liter of fuel is $2.50, all right? So if you're paying $5.50, that's $3 profit. And then, so I was like, okay, guys, when the car says range of 15 kilometers per liter, that's in optimal driving conditions. real life conditions is not that. You're going to stop and start at the traffic lights. You're going to have idling time. Plus, you're going to have more than one person in the car anyway, because that's the whole It's a driver and a passenger. Plus, you're going to have the luggage of the passenger. On top of that, there's wear and tear of the vehicle. On top of that, you have to factor in the labor of the driver. All of those are costs. On top of that, you have to factor in the costs of InDrive, because InDrive in Zimbabwe works on a commission basis. Everywhere else it's factored into the fare, but in Zimbabwe you have to. You do it in Zim. You have to keep a running balance from which your each drive's commission is subtracted. So you can't book fares unless you have $20-$30 in your balance, and then your money is just. I found it very interesting. That's how they got around the whole Zim banking system. By the way, they use Visa or MasterCard, which then attracts its own fees and the 15% digital tax and all of that. So all those costs and overheads, not to mention the fact that you are talking about having multiple rides in a car. Surely you have to consider the wear and tear of the car and all of that. In my mind, it doesn't make sense. It's just not profitable to do it for $5.50. If anyone is doing it, it's out of desperation, and they're doing it because they're just trying to get whatever money they can for now. But in the long run, in my view, it's not sustainable. I am very open to people to debate and disagree and say, I don't think so. I think $5.50 is actually reasonable because of ABC. That's a dope conversation. But people always go wild. But anyway, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think?
I'm laughing because you mansplain. I dare you mansplain so much. Oh my god.
What do you mean?
I mean, in as much as in a vacuum, all the concerns you raised are correct. I think there's a lot of things working against your argument that I don't think you've considered. One is, as you've just said, unlike Uber, for example, which operates in other economies, where it's a credit system, so you can operate at a loss but still have cash flow. In Zimbabwe, if you're not operating at a profit, you will be cash flow negative within 30 days. So that's one. Two is the market determines the price. And what I've noticed, so fun fact, after my third engine going out last week, I sold my car. So I'm going to get a new car soon, but I'm currently in the InDrive ecosystem as we speak. And one thing I've noticed is now, from previous times to this time, especially post-fuel increase, drivers are setting the market. It's very rare for me to get a ride at the suggested fare anymore. Drivers are setting their fares, right? And sometimes it might be frustrating, but when you realize, wait a minute, actually fuel's expensive, this, that, and the third, said it again. But also, drivers have every right to set their fare. It is what it is. So I think drivers are responding to the cost. And as people have often said, and we're saying in that thread, InDrive, unlike Bolt, for example, and I think why Bolt is struggling in Sim, and I've had not many, but I've had 2 incidents with Bolt already, because Bolt predetermines the fare, much like Uber. And then the driver will arrive, and I'm like, dude, this fare that this app gave you is too low. I actually want to charge this. And you're like, but why did you accept it? Whereas with InDrive, they'll post their expected fare. You, as the rider, accept or deny, and then you can go about your way. So I think InDrive, whether by happenstance or by design, has actually solved for this problem. The other thing is there's a massive economy of drivers who are earning money to pay off their vehicles. And I think you might have, I think, was it you that also mentioned it as well in the thread, but I know of a couple of people who were cash rich. They imported a bunch of small taxi cars, and then they essentially leased them out to these InDrive drivers for anything ranging from $500 to $700 a month, right? With an option to buy after a certain amount of time, and then they're responsible for servicing and so forth. Once again, because of the very cash and liquid economy of the country, if that model ceases to make sense, they will not be able to service that debt. It'll collapse on itself. So I feel like your concerns are legitimate, but they aren't necessarily married to the reality on the ground, which is that this is one of the examples where the invisible hand of economics and capitalism actually does work, I feel. And I feel like if the cost of operating becomes too expensive, the taxi drivers can respond immediately. And they have responded immediately.
So this is the problem that I had with a lot of people who were responding. And it was, I am beginning this conversation with the assumption that you don't understand what you're talking about. Maybe you didn't do it intentionally, but in your description, which I won't call mansplaining, you said several things like, I think this is what you're not getting and what you're failing to understand is, and so on.
No,
To remind everyone, I said, guys, this price seems too low. I don't think it's sustainable. It's an invitation to discuss. I am not mounting up an attack on the corporation that is InDrive. I am not advocating for the rights of drivers. I'm making a comment on something I observed, and I'm welcome to hear what other people think of the same issue. So that's the basis, the foundation of the discussion, right? So I'm not attacking, I'm not advocating, my argument is not, I'm just saying, hey guys, I looked at this amount, it seems low. I think it's fair for someone to say, no, to me it seems right because of ABC. And it's fair for someone else to say, I agree because of this, or maybe it should be this because of that, etc. To me, that's like a normal conversation, right? So I started with, hey, this price seems low to me. Then people said you don't understand how InDrive works because it's a recommended fare, and then you can negotiate, and that's what drivers are doing. Okay, let me reassure everyone. I understand how InDrive works because I've used it a lot. In fact, the premise is I actually used it, and my reference was to the recommended fare. Okay, so I don't worry. I understand how the bidding and negotiation system works. My point is the recommended fare is too low. What was used to calculate what that recommended fare is the market, as you said. It's likely an algorithm that's based on, okay, what are people paying? It's probably always trying to lean to the lowest possible that a driver will accept, right? I know this as well because 2 years ago, I paid for that InDrive trip to the airport roughly $15. That was the recommended fare. So 2 years later, that same recommended fare is $5.50. Yet fuel prices have gone up. Other prices have gone up. Money has devalued. So to me, I would expect, yes, I can understand the market will correct to what is probably likely the lowest someone is willing to pay, because InDrive just want volume. From InDrive's perspective, they have no, once the system has been set up, the more drivers, the better. The more rides, the better, because they're collecting a percentage period. So the cheaper it is, the better for InDrive. So they are incentivized to make it as cheap as possible so that as many people as possible take InDrive instead of a combi, instead of a taxi, instead of Bolt, instead of drive their own car, because then they are earning on each transaction. Now, obviously, the thing they have to allow for is the driver amount. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, baseline is $10. What do you think? Oh, everyone's paying $10. Okay, next time, let's try $9. Oh, everyone's still paying $9. Okay, let's try $8. Oh, everyone's still paying $8. Let's try $7. Okay, some people are fighting back, but what if you push it down to $6? Okay, now we seem to have a lot of people fighting back. Let's keep it around $6. That's likely how I don't know for sure, but that's likely how their algorithm works. Now, my entire point is the way the market is set up in Zim, we have casual drivers. We have drivers, like you said, those who are leasing the car from someone who owns it, and they are required to pay an amount by the end of the month, no matter what. Who knows what the penalties are if you don't pay? So even if this is not profitable to me, I know I have to pay $150 at the end of this month or $250 at the end of this month. I think the standard is $250. I think it's $250. No, I think the standard is somewhere between $80 and $100 a week. Somewhere there, maybe $100 a week. Some people say differently. Now, I've spoken, I make it a point, just out of interest, every time I get in an InDrive, I always ask the driver, tell me how it's working for you. How much are you making in a month? Once upon a time, a lot of them were very happy. Like, yo, I quit my job to do this full time. And I'm making more now than I did when I was working. Now, in the last year, everyone, no one, without exception, has expressed that they feel like it's too low. Because if the recommended fare says $5, I can't come and say $9, bro. I can't. Because the passenger will just be like, if you don't want, someone else will. And the truth is there will be someone else who will, because there's always someone desperate enough. And it could be someone who's already going that way. So even if it's a loss, it's a profit to me because I'm already going that way anyway. So, I will happily take $2 because it would have been $0. So all these forces in my mind have made the algorithm make what I think is lower than fair recommended fare. or reasonable recommended fare, just to not confuse people with the word fare. So that was my whole premise. Like, guys, I think it's low. And then a lot of people obviously were also responding in good faith, and we had some good debates. And I thought it was good to sort of hear all these different viewpoints. And it also made me think of a few different things and so on. But the what I didn't like was the people who immediately were, you don't understand. No, I do understand. Why don't you just share your points of what you believe?
And I think your points are well considered, but also the other thing here is you're describing gentrification. So the same thing that's been happening globally with Uber seems to be happening here with InDrive. My contingent, what was not necessarily contingent. My hope was that there was a lot more competition in the beginning, and I guess this is probably what made InDrive win out. Is they gave InDrive drivers great fares in the beginning, and then they beat up all their competition. So remember G Taxi, what is the service? Windy.
But there's tap and go, Phil. What do you mean?
Okay, let's be serious for a second. Windy, G Drive, and then obviously Bolt. All the other competitors have seemed to fall to the wayside because of InDrive, because drivers are opting to go with it. I do think InDrive and Windy had a similar solution, but Windy was a little difficult to pay, and the interface wasn't great. Had the best user experience, but now drivers are struggling, and I go back to, because we're such a cash economy, and these guys don't have that much financial leeway. As you said, it's unsustainable, and I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong, especially at that price. Like, that's an extreme example. Like, going to the airport for $5, considering the amounts of money I've had to pay going to the airport from various locations, that does seem extremely low. There is one caveat, though, which is vehicle technology, especially adopted by taxi drivers, has changed. But InDrive doesn't account for it, right? It doesn't give you a better fare if that driver has a hybrid or electric vehicle versus a fully fuel-powered vehicle. And I think that's where the material difference may be, right? If someone is on a hybrid or an electric vehicle, it might not cost them as much to do the same distance, right? And now I, as someone who may have had the bad luck of buying a petrol car, am competing against someone who can basically drive for free, am at a disadvantage. That's the only variable I think we haven't accounted for. Everything else, yeah, you're right. It isn't sustainable. But I don't think the market has enough robustness to sustain it for much longer. If the bottom is going to fall out, the bottom is going to fall out pretty quickly.
Someone mentioned in my comments something I hadn't considered. I agree with you. Yes, that ride is cheaper if you have an electric or a hybrid vehicle. However, if you have an electric or hybrid vehicle in Zimbabwe, you are going to have a harder time with maintenance, replacement of parts, finding the right mechanic to work on your vehicle. You're going to have a harder time. If it's a plug-in hybrid, you're going to have a terrible time trying to figure out how to keep your car charged up. If it's a battery hybrid, what do they call it? Just an HEV, not a plug-in. Then you're going to have more difficult issues with electrics and finding the right mechanics and maintenance, all that. So while it may be cheaper per ride, over the whole month or over 6 months or over a year, that may not necessarily be true. Be that as it may, right? All of that into consideration. My point is, some of the people that I've spoken to, this guy I spoke, he was actually a little bit motivational, I won't lie. The guy who picked me up from the airport, young guy, right? He works a full 9 to 5. Immediately after work, he does InDrive for a couple of hours, right? So he was telling me that, the other day I took leave for a couple of days. So every day I started work at 4 a.m. and I ended it at like midnight every day. I'll sleep when I'm older. Right now I'm young. I'm supposed to make money. And do you know those days I made $70 per day. Sure. So imagine I do that every day. You multiply by 30. Dada, you can make money from this thing. And I was sitting there and I was like, damn. So $70 revenue. So if he works insane 16-hour days, 18-hour days, he can make revenue of $2,100. If he works every day and finds a ride all the time and there's no issues, there's no police, there's no whatever, that's just revenue. Cost-wise, okay, he has to buy fuel, he has to maintain his car, he has to buy his lunch, he has to whatever, all that stuff, right? So theoretically, he could make $700-800 in that month. But he's been driving the whole day and night, every day. What does he need to do to keep his car maintained? What about himself, just as a human being? In my mind, I don't think, and the thing is, when you put something out there, right, it applies to everyone equally. But in reality, it doesn't. I'm sorry. For me, personally, Sadeni, I can't accept making $500 a month if I work all day, every day. Someone else might because they're in a different situation. But to me, that seems too low. And that's what I was communicating. And especially now, you own your own car, you run your own business. That's the ceiling. If you work like crazy, I think the model's a bit broken. Now, again, I'm always willing to hear what other people think. It's okay. But $5 down to airport. Guys, let's be serious. On top of that, there's a news article. just now. Shout out to our producer who included a news article from 2 months ago, month and a half ago in the Newsday about how InDrive is squeezing drivers. And the drivers have said that, you know what? What they are now doing is they are adding $1 to $3 per ride. So they'll accept $5, but when they meet you, they'll tell you that it's plus $2 on top. Mm-hmm. And you can choose to take it or they'll say, no, it's fine.
It's funny because, how do I put it? They're definitely not doing this north of Samara.
Yep. But then also, like, a lot of people who do it north of Samora are not, like, they're not full-time in-drivers, if that makes sense. They do in-drive as an extra. And even those that are, there's a benefit to this young kid. You know what he said? He said, no, north of Samora, bo. The moment you cross Samora, you can expect that every day you need $10, $15 ke kupa mapurisa. And then on top of that, there's the roads and the potholes and the whatnot. So I was like, traffic, GGG. There's a lot of considerations. I just think that ultimately, if you say to anyone that this should cost more, there's always going to be a violent response because people want cheap things. Even me, I want cheap things. I would love to pay $5 to go to the airport, but I feel bad. I normally add $1 or $2 to whatever the fare is that we agree.
Yeah, I mean, where I can afford, I always try and do the same. And ultimately, I'm always on the side of the working class. Let me not stick up for
the corporation, the big bad,
bad corporation. But what I was saying, and what I am trying to get across is I feel Zimbabwe is a very unique market that will work against this model, and it will work against it very quickly, especially for everything you've said, because it's becoming increasing, right? We've had 2 major-ish, quote-unquote, strikes by in-drive drivers in recent months. There have been a lot of calls for increasing of fares, increasing of rates, and the like. So I think it's obviously becoming unsustainable for them. And it's tricky, right? I can't imagine what it's like when, as you said, you started making good money. You're like, actually, I can take a calculated risk. Let me buy an Aqua. That's $12,000. Let's just say they splurge on a hybrid Aqua for $12K. You've paid off $4K. The first $4K, you're on track.
Came easy. You were making a solid $500 a month that you could put aside. Plus, you had money to eat, and you were paying off your car.
Now, all of a sudden, end of the month, you got less and less money. It's more and more difficult to make those payments. As you've said, what do you do? Like, you've got to maintain some form of cash flow. But now you're in a dilemma because the more you use the car, the more you have to maintain the car. But the more you use the car, the less you use the car, the less money you make. The less money you make, the less you make towards the car payments. So it's almost an impossible situation. And that's why I feel like it's going to fall out, because you also have the haves and the have-nots. In as much as you have these drivers who are basically self-funding themselves, you also have, on the flip side, a lot of people with a lot of cash who have just bought fleets of vehicles.
Yeah.
And either they're operating them or they've just let them out.
And at scale, it can make sense to you. You know what I'm saying? Like
In
if
the
I'm
beginning, it did. Yeah, in the beginning, it did. The same way it did with Uber in South Africa, and I know a bunch of people who did that, who've got fleets of vehicles.
I will feel Gaia. If you're cash rich and you buy, let's just say you buy 10 Toyota Aquas, you find these desperate youngsters and say, "Here's, I have a job opportunity for you. All you have to do is bring me $100 a week. Everything you make above $100 is yours. Do that for 5 years. The car is now yours." Right?
Mm-hmm.
I am now benefiting because I was able to send 10 cars out. They're bringing me $100 a week, which means I'm getting $1,000 a week. You know what I mean? I'm not working anymore. They're the ones doing, they're handling everything, maintenance. Da, 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 da. At the end of the 5-year period, tapedza tasainirana, the car is now yours. I have the what you call it, the capital to invest in another car and do it over and over. So now I have multiple people. Now those people, they could make that $100 and just make an extra 20 or an extra 50, like, whew. But I'm working long term. I got another, Meanwhile, there's someone else who that's your hustle. This is my job. Versus someone else who, I have 10 cars. I'm trying to make $100 on each.
But the implied risk is higher. The implied risk is way higher.
I get it. And I know that that's the market. The market is the market. But a lot of you people are putting a lot of trust in a market that has consistently screwed over poor people over and over again. So the people who put trust in the market, I'm not sure. And just one final thing on this issue. So many people were saying that obviously it's a negotiation. Why does a driver accept it if it's too low? The driver can just accept a higher figure if it's not fair. That's my entire point is if the recommended fare is too low, it removes your ability to negotiate higher up. You have to negotiate within the recommended fare amount. Even if it's too low, you end up not taking the ride. If you don't take the ride, now you have no cash coming in. So you're making even more of a loss because the time is going to go anyway. The month is going to end anyway. So you would rather make less of a loss by taking that ride at a loss. The person who benefits is the rider in the short term, but in the long term, you're not going to benefit because the entire system, in my opinion, is going to collapse. But that having been said, it was just a throwaway discussion. Real quick, Phil, before we sign up, I just want some one sentence responses from you.
Okay. But I've got to go check my babies.
Who's in the wrong, Meg Thee Stallion or Klay Thompson?
Both. I don't care. In fact, I actually would have wanted to give this topic a lot more.
Yeah, I thought I wanted as well.
Discussion. Because, in fact, let's bin it for next week. Or maybe we'll discuss it.
No, let's discuss it next week.
We'll do a Patreon hangout again this week. It might be fun.
Yeah, but let's do this topic next week. Let's do it next. Oh, sorry, next week I'm in fact we might both be at the same place if you end up buying your tickets.
Yeah.
Maybe we can record together there. I've got I stole,
and then we'll have a litany of guests.
I stole someone's little microphone thingies, so we can actually do a show.
We can do a man on the street.
Anyway, yeah, but I do think this is an interesting discussion. Long story short, I think a lot of Meg Thee Stallion fans don't know who Klay Thompson is, and they
obviously don't. And I think, we'll discuss. It's just
let's discuss it later.
It's just bird behavior all around.
Yeah. In my opinion, same story. Everyone is in the wrong here. Okay, next one. Do you believe that it was a legit assassination attempt at the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
Oh, no. Sorry, network got break. What did you? Anyway, Metro FM was what? Crazy. Wow.
Do you think Russell Brand has really turned to Christianity?
We got to play that clip. Oh, my God. That is the best clip ever. No, but we called him out months ago, but this is the best clip ever. Oh, gosh. Let me play it.
Russell Brand was being interviewed by Piers Morgan. Two names that I hate that we are putting onto this podcast, but this particular clip is funny. So Piers Morgan is asking Russell Brand. Okay,
this is an old time.
Background information before Phil plays the clip. Russell Brand is facing 7 counts of rape and sexual assault, including with a minor.
He also admitted to sleeping with a 15-year-old, remember?
16-year-old. Conveniently, Russell Brand
he said she was 15, didn't he? Did he say she was 15?
No, he came out and he said she's 16. I slept with a 16-year-old. I used my fame to sleep with a 16-year-old. That was wrong. But don't forget, at the time, she was legal. I was like, buddy. Anyway, roughly at the time that these allegations came out, Russell Brand conveniently suddenly became a devout Christian, carrying his Bible around with him everywhere. So Piers Morgan had him on his show, asked him, "Oh, I saw you were in court with your Bible. Tell me a little bit about your Bible. Is there any verse, Then, yeah, that's the clip that...
Can I go back to asking a question about your Bible?
Yes, if you want to.
Thank you. Was that the one you took into court?
You're the very one.
Okay. What was your thinking of taking it into court? And what you were seeing, looking at some passages, what were the relevant passages for you?
All right. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you. That didn't hurt, did it?
A little bit. It was this from Isaiah. You're right. Bear did say, be chilled. Sometimes I lose the chill, man.
I hate how he says Isaiah.
It's this. They don't like that, do they, in the old gallery? But remember, you just said it's a hired spot. This is from Isaiah. Excuse me.
This is the best clip ever.
Man, I'm not going to mark it before.
At this point, you have to question if it's a legit Bible. Because just open any random verse in Isaiah, please.
It says here.
It's still going.
The verse that I was looking at that day was not this. I can't actually find the verse that I had that day. But this is good enough. This is from Isaiah 12.
I have no notes. Piers Morgan is a terrible, terrible person. But here, his experience shone through. Because he didn't interrupt me. He didn't buffer. He didn't filibuster. He didn't ask him a filler question. He didn't just sit there.
He did the gym at the office. Look into the camera.
And as Dan said, he was making fun of me. But I remember this from my church days. It's also funny because Isaiah is actually one of the easier books because it's very big and it's towards the middle. It actually it's one of the books. If you want to figure out whether you're in the New Testament or the Old Testament, as they say, Isaiah is a good bearing because it's a large book that gives you. It's in the middle of literally. If you open your Bible to the middle, you'll find Isaiah. And as to Dan's point, which I also highlighted in the group, I'll play a fun game with you. Dan, give me a random number under 60.
36.
Give me another random number.
Let's say 13.
13. Okay. We've got Isaiah 36:12. 36:13. Then Rabakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language and said, "Hear ye words of the great king of Assyria." Dan, I'm reminded of this scripture here because Rabakeh showed bravery.
Rabshakeh.
Yeah, Rabshakeh. No, Dan, I'm trying to do the stuff. I'm trying to do it.
He's not a well-known character. He's a spokesman of the king of Assyria, but yeah.
No. Okay, you're adding too much. I'm trying to give you how you could have ad-libbed his way out of this. I felt like I was in front of a big crowd. You know what I mean? I was sent with a message from the king. I was nervous. I was scared. And in court, that reminded me that I always need to lean on the counsel of God.
Now some people would probably have called BS, but you wouldn't have trended.
You know what I mean? But exactly, you would have. And this is what we have just proven the point. You literally can choose just a random chapter and verse and reverse engineer it.
Even better than that. And count this as, in closing our episode today, this is, let's call it a tip for anyone who decides to use Christianity as last resort when they've been caught in something. Just learn 3 verses. Just three. You don't even have to ask your ChatGPT. Give me 3 Bible verses that I can use as motivation or encouragement. Learn what they are, learn how to find them. It will take you 10 minutes. Then whenever anyone asks you in public, you know what? My favorite verse is actually Jeremiah 29, verse 11 and 12. because it tells us that even in tough times, God will be there for us and we will shout out to him and he will listen to us. And that's exactly how I felt in tough times, that when I had no one else, someone who I never knew was there for me. And he reminded me. Never forget that verse, Jeremiah 29, verse 11 and 12. Just like that. People like, he's innocent. He's innocent. Anyway.
Micah 3:6. You know? Come on. James 4 verse 2. Huh? Hebrews 11. These are classics. These are the classics. These are the go-tos. The simple ones.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode.
Or the ultimate, the one that applies, I think the best to Russell Brand, I think is Genesis around 39. Is it Genesis 39? You know what I'm talking about?
What does it say?
Hold on, let me find it. This one, Genesis. Let me find it.
Where are you searching? I would love to know.
No, it's not here.
What does it roughly say? I'll find it for you.
I'm looking for the story of when the angels came to visit Lot.
Mm-hmm.
No, is that in Genesis or in Exodus?
No, that'll be in Genesis, yeah. I believe that will be roundabout Genesis. Visit Lot. I feel like that's still early in Genesis. I want to say,
yeah, you're right. It was my dyslexia. It was 19.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Genesis 19. Here we go. So, setting the scene, 2 angels come to visit Lot. So let's start at verse 1 actually. And they came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you. It's your servant's house, and tarry all night and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up and go on your ways. By the way, I'm reading from the Bible's Gateway. I couldn't find the newer translation. Nay, and your servants out and tarry all night, go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned unto him and entered his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both young and old, all them from every quarter. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came in these this night? Bring them out to us, so that we may know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. And he said, I pray you, brethren, do not do so wickedly. Behold now, I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as in good in your eyes, until these men do nothing. For therefore they came under the shadow of my roof. Granted, this translation is censoring quite a bit. But basically, there was new meat on the block. The whole city of Sodom were like, yo, we want that new meat. Lot was like, come on, guys, these are my guests. Can you please not rape the guests? How about my daughters? They're fresh.
Okay.
Would you have my daughters instead?
What was the purpose of raising this point?
Point was just some of the wild scriptures in the Bible that you should commit to memory.
No, Lot was wild. That was a wild thing to do. It was an extremely wild thing to do.
And at this juncture, I think it's time we wrap up.
Yes, thanks for ending it on such a high note, Phil. Thank you very much.
No, with words from the Bible. I think we should do this every week. A Bible devotional.
Nah, I'm good. I think I'm good.
You good? You sure?
I'm good, Mr. Rabakesh. No, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for listening to another episode of Two Broke Twimbos.
How many? But which other podcasts have mentioned Rap Shack in recent months? Think about it. You know what I mean? We're putting. You know what we should do? We should like bring like some of the unknown Bible characters to the foreground. You know what I mean?
Okay, so Art of War. You see, King of Assyria was trying to take over Jerusalem, but the Israelites at that time were so devoted to God that it was proving to be difficult. So he sent Rabshakeh because that was one of his people who understood Hebrew. So he sent him there to go speak in Hebrew in front of everyone. So that was his whole plan. It was a cunning plan, but there was a fatal flaw. Anyone who knows the article understands that this man went there without fully understanding the religion, because he went there and he spoke as if the Israelites' religion was the same as the Assyrians' religion. So there was a complete mismatch and misunderstanding. But he thought he was being clever. So a very interesting story, fascinating. Art of war, Sun Tzu type things. Trying to take over a city, what, by using the language against them. But because you used the language without understanding the context, you actually ended up shooting yourself in the foot. It was the whole thing. Should make a movie about it. Should also make a movie about Lot, because questions have to be asked of him.
I actually think several movies on this topic have been made. They may not have a Bible in hand, but I believe this plotline is very familiar. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh. Did you this week I watched Louis Theroux's Manosphere documentary. Did you watch that?
Mm-hmm. Not yet. I haven't watched that one. No.
You should. I mean, a lot of people criticize it because they felt that he wasn't harsh enough on the people. But I get it. This was not a I'm here to condemn. It was like, what is actually going on? And then you can make your own conclusion yourself. So you should watch it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Again, extraordinary recording session. Next week, I won't be able to record, unfortunately. Maybe able to get some. We have a beautiful occasion to attend, but it's a wedding. But if not, then we'll just see you in the following week, or we'll do something for the patrons. But like, follow, subscribe, all the usual stuff. We'll, I guess, catch you in the next one. We out.
Yeah.